You just moved to Tennessee.
I did.
In between two families who were believers, didn't know who you were, if you were a believer. How did the discovery part go that, oh my gosh, we probably sing your songs in church?
Hey, we haven't had the, I don't know if they know they might sing some of my songs yet, because I didn't lead with that.
Well, you may know me from.
I don't know if you've heard.
He's no stranger to St. Louis. He is one of our featured 20 birthday artists, though. We're talking about Josh Baldwin, Stand in Your Love, the new song Evidence. Hey, Josh.
Hey, it's so good to be here.
And thanks for coming to town. I mean, this was February. At first, we were a little bummed. Like, we're not going to have sofa concerts. We do this every year. And nobody was coming to town. So, we've called an audible, ran a new play here. But you still came in. That's awesome.
I thought that after last year, I thought I had to come every February. So I was here. And then you guys, you're not having. So I was like, well, I'm already here.
So you bring up the sofa show. You were here last year.
Yeah.
Do you remember that night in any way?
I do. Well, I remember it for multiple reasons. It was one of the only shows I actually did in 2020. And, but it was my favorite. It's one of my favorite nights ever doing anything. I mean, it was, I just remember I went home and told my wife, I was like, the crowd, like everyone was just so happy. There was so much joy. I was hilarious and I don't know how. I was like,
I remember that part too.
You guys are funny. I'm not usually this. I'm funny, but I'm not usually this funny. Like, you were like pulling it out of me.
I was like, babe, I mean, the song, it was, the Lord was there and we, shared songs and it was awesome, but they laughed at everything I said and I don't know. And she was, she was shocked too. So yeah, that was,
She's like,
I don't know how
wow.
that happened either. But, no, it was just amazing. It was such a great night. And, the one story that, I remember I'm doing the songs and then there's the list like, okay, this one part of this, we're going to do a giveaway. So
because it's broadcast live on the air.
Which I forgot multiple times that night. Actually, I think that night I shared Evidence for the first time. I had never played it live. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling the crowd like, okay, this is just for you guys.
Yeah.
And they're all like snickering. And I was like, oh yeah, we're live. So this isn't just for you. This is for
all
the whole, yeah.
You guys cool if I do a new song that I've never, ever done before? Okay. I'm a little nervous because we actually are on the radio, and I just thought about that right now, actually. I was like, this will be so great, it'll be just for them. And then as I said it, I remembered what tonight was, and I was like, it's just for them, all right. And the rest of St. Louis.
But yeah, I remember I was reading, the giveaway, and then I was about to go and say the phone number, and I didn't know it by heart, so I'm looking down, and I paused, and before I could even get it out, the whole crowd.
Get ready, callers. I'm going to say the number right now, and I need complete silence in here. And the number is 866, not 69. Do you...
And it kind of like shook me. I was like,
wow.
What is happening? I'm like turning around to see, and then I realized, and they're all laughing at me, and I realized, well, yeah, they hear this number all day long. Mm-hmm. So it was just it felt like, I love that it's called Sofa. It felt like I was just in a living room with a bunch of friends hanging out. And
well, I remember Evidence from that night, and from that night on, it has been one of my favorite songs. I'm not just saying that, just like you weren't just saying the sofa thing. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, even when you're not sitting here, she kind of fawns over that song a lot in the morning.
So, as I understand it, you're going to sing that live for us a little bit later on this hour.
Yes.
And
we're going to let your voice warm up.
I'm going to try. I'm going to drink some coffee, and we're going to go for it.
My day is made. We were just talking about, you just moved to Tennessee.
I did.
In between two families who were believers, didn't know who you were, if you were a believer. How did the discovery part go that, oh my gosh, we probably sing your songs in church?
Hey, we haven't had the, I don't know if they know they might sing some of my songs yet, because I didn't lead with that.
Well, you may know me from.
I don't know if you've heard.
Here's my CD.
Because it would be worse if they were like, no, I actually haven't heard that one. I'm like, okay.
Then
This was a great talk. No, they were so kind. It was our two neighbors next to us, and then across the street, all three of them, they found out that we love Jesus, and so they not that they wouldn't have talked to us had they not known that, but they were like, "Hey, have you guys picked a church yet? And we'd love for you to come worship with us on Sunday at their church." And they all three go to different churches, but they're all close friends. And we were like, we actually do go to church, but we already have one. But they were so kind, and then they start asking what we do, and so I just kind of told them a little bit, but not much. And then the next day, one guy comes out and he, "I just saw you on YouTube. I think I know some of your songs." Like, that's awesome. So
it's much better when they lead with that than when you do.
Like you say something, and he's not. Well, both of our neighbors on either side, they're both eye doctors. So yeah, I'm gonna have
great vision.
2020 vision coming up soon.
Both your kids.
Everybody. We're gonna all be wearing glasses and just.
Now, did they go to the same church, or did you have to pick one?
No, they all three families go to different churches.
You got lucky.
Yeah, we got Baptist, Presbyterian, and a non-denominational across the street. Yeah, they're all three different.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's fun.
Good old Tennessee.
I know your dad's a pastor.
He is, yeah.
I don't know all of your story, though. Just give us a sneak peek into when you had an idea, maybe, that God had some path for you that was music.
I mean, it really came from my dad. My dad's a pastor, but he grew up in music, playing in bands, and then he also led worship at our church. And so I grew up playing drums for him. I mean, that was kind of like, drums was kind of like his babysitter for me. We'd go to the church and he'd work on
play on the drums,
a message, or music, and I would just get on the drums. And then I got good at it. And so I remember I was around 12 when I started playing in church, and that's how that was my entry into just music and worship. And then when I was in high school, I just picked up the acoustic and wanted to play that. My dad plays the acoustic and the piano, and I started wanting to play, and just it was kind of a natural. My youth pastor was like, "Hey, why don't you lead worship for our youth group?" And it had never like dawned on me that I could or should do that. And I was like, "Okay, I'll try." And I think I just didn't realize, like, it came natural, and a lot of it was just because I had been playing with my dad, sitting with my dad for years, and it was like kind of caught and not taught as much. So
I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, but we're talking a lot about 20 years of Joy FM, and how a lot of us weren't the same person we were 20 years ago.
Yeah,
you grew up in the church playing worship music. Did you ever have the rebellious Josh Baldwin phase or not?
I would love to say that I did and tell you stories. Not that we would tell them on here, but I don't think I did. I didn't have like a rebellious falling away from the Lord or hating my parents kind of story. But
I love that.
I did go to college at Lee University, and I just didn't go to class, and I for 2 years I know that was my rebellious. I think I still love Jesus. I actually learned a lot about. I learned how to write songs there. I did a lot of music and worship, but I just like didn't go to class, and I ended up having to drop out. I was on academic probation. It was bad.
Every parent on the planet right now is just having a sigh of relief.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you're fine.
The thing is, we all push back in one way or another.
Yeah, that was my rebellious.
I love that yours still involved loving Jesus.
Yeah.
You were still on the right path. You're just I'm not. I love Jesus, not math.
Totally. I went to college and found out what I was supposed to do in life. I just could have done it at home for a lot less money.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I went back to Lee University a few years ago with Bethel Music, and we did like a worship night there, and they found out that I went to school there.
Oh, they're like, claiming you now.
And I was like, guys, I had like a 1.7 GPA, and I dropped out. And they're like, it's fine. Can we introduce you as like alumni?
I was going to say, you're going to be on every pamphlet.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, Josh, we heard you went to school here.
So they're like, we just want to introduce. Yeah, they're like, hey, this is Dr. Joshua Baldwin. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Yeah.
Let's talk about Stand in Your Love. It was the first song that many people heard from you.
Yeah.
What a way to come out of the gates. Did you have any idea when that song was released to radio what an impact it would have really in churches everywhere?
I had no idea. I mean, when we wrote it, I knew it was a good song. I mean, I knew it moved me, and that's usually a good sign. But I just, we did it for our worship album at church, and I just thought, this is great. I love this. And then they were like, we want this to be the radio single. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm sure it won't. No one knows me. It's, and then it just took off, and it was, it changed our whole lives. It was amazing. And but I had no idea. And right before we wrote it, I kind of went through the season. I had released the album before, and it did fine. But I was in this season where I was like, do I want to keep traveling and doing this, or do I want to just go find another job? Or I was just in this little in between. And I remember my wife and I, it was December 2017. We decided, okay, we're gonna one more year. We're just gonna go after this hard, and just this is what we feel like the Lord's called us to. And a month later, I wrote "Stand in Your Love," and it just like everything else just kind of shifted into place. And yeah, it was just it's such a special song to me, because it just kind of was this stamp on my life that was the Lord. Like right before I was almost done, I didn't quit, and the Lord just like stamped His love right on my life.
There's so many times in Scripture that's how it works, or in life, right? Like you have to walk it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I was thinking about just the other day with Abraham. I don't want to get too spiritual, but like the blessing was after he took the journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? The provision was there, not where he was. He had to go there. And I hear that in your story.
There's so many times I think sometimes we get caught up in the destination and I'm going to get there so much that you forget, like, actually in the journeys where you find the Lord. Yeah. That's where you just keep going. And it's hard to change directions when you're not moving at all. So yeah, I think that's a good.
Doesn't feel like it when you're on that journey, though, does it? It's usually when you get to the destination, you look back and you're like, oh, that's how that was supposed to work out.
Oh, man. A year ago, you were here in St. Louis for the Sofa Show. You talked a moment ago about it's memorable. It's broadcast live and unique and all that kind of stuff. I didn't realize, I knew it was the first time I had heard this song, Evidence. Yeah. I didn't realize it was the first time you had played it for a crowd.
Yes, and I hadn't planned on it. The night was just going so well, and I felt like I could probably do anything and they would like it. So
I was in the room when you sang the song, and it hit me then, and it hits me every time I hear the song now. I don't want to. I won't tell you why it hits me, but why did you write it?
It's I think just there's the simple. It's not simple, but it's we hear it a lot. Just the goodness of God, and there's been songs about that have been amazing, but there was something about not just like seeing the evidence of His goodness in our life, but there's the line that it starts off with, all throughout my history, your faithfulness has walked beside me. And what I think about, I'm here with my dad this weekend, and when I sing that line, when I think about writing all that, I think about not just the evidence of the Lord's hand on my life, but on my dad's life and on my grandparents' life and just in my wife's family, and just the line of goodness and the line of the faithfulness of the Lord being on our families, just that led up to who we even are today. And so the song for me is not just looking at what the Lord's done for me, but it's what has He done for my family? What do I see Him do in my siblings' life, and what I want to see Him do? And it's been such a great reminder this year, or this past year, when it's maybe hard to look around and see some of that goodness in just tough times. It's such a good reminder to that I can look back and see how His hands always carried me. He's always walked me through things, and and remind myself of what He's done. So I think that's what it's meant to me. And it's my dad's favorite song. He tells me, he's like, this is the best song you've ever written. So I'll take his word for it.
I won't disagree. And that opening line has to be one of the best lines I've ever heard.
Oh, wow.
It's so good.
Thank you.
Well,
good.
We know it's early, but you got a guitar in your hand. So you willing to give this a shot?
I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's do it.
All throughout my history, Your faithfulness has walked beside me. The winter storms made way for spring, and in promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Help me remember when I'm weak, fear may come, but fear will lead. You lead my heart to victory, and you are my strength, and you always will be. And I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. I see the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless, that all my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. Oh, and I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in